Are we on? There we go.
Hey, Chris, what's going on, man? How are you?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to get this out of the way first. I'm really good friends with Duffy, and he wanted me to say hello. So,
Okay, right on. Please relay my hello, and I'll see you in September. You could relay that.
I will do that for you. I know you've got the big hometown show, and that's exciting, and we'll talk about that here coming up in a little bit. But first things first, I just want to say congrats, man, on the success of the album scoring the end of the world. And it's not just commercial success. I mean, the album is streaming like crazy and the videos are getting views and all that, but it's also critical success. People love this album. How does it feel as somebody who I'm sure leading up to the release of a song, the release of an album, is a little bit nervous about how it's going to be received? How awesome is it to have this album out there and to know that people love the thing?
This one in particular, for some reason, hit harder for me, that I feel like it went over very well. I don't know if it's just because of the lyrical content or the work that went into it, or I really don't know what it is, but it just, the positivity and the good energy that I've gotten from the fans, the people out that aren't even fans, that just like weigh in on their opinion, like something just hit me really hard and feels so good and so rewarding about it, that I don't know. I haven't felt this positive about a record in a while. And it's like, it's just such a great feeling and such a good win, I think, for our band, for our fans, and for music, that, you know, the pandemic could wipe out music for, well, at least touring music, for as long as it did. And it still feels like people are with the band. They didn't kind of distance away or get tired of us over the whole course of the downtime. And it's just, I don't know. I keep talking. I should stop talking now. I just keep rambling, but it feels great, and I'm very, very, very excited that it did whatever it did.
You know, it was exciting to follow your Twitter account the night that it was released, as you were counting down to the release of the album. You could sense that sort of excitement. And I know every band is excited when a new album comes out, but it felt like, based on the way that you were treating it, that this album was different from Motionless in White.
Yes. I think, you know, our last two records that we put out, the album Graveyard Shift had some delays to it. There's just some things about it that I was really excited about putting out, but it felt like some of the excitement got a little bit stunted because of the delays. One of the singles didn't really go over that well. Like, kind of put this like anxiousness attached to the record. Excuse me. Then our last record, Disguise, I thought, you know, okay, like, this feels great. Really excited about it. But it was a little bit of a slower record comparatively to this new one. So knowing the singles that we put out, the heaviness, the quickness that this record was going to show, the anticipation for fans to hear that in its entirety was just like, it's killing me. You know, like the singles went over so well, and I just knew what was on the rest of the album, and I knew that it was going to be like, holy crap, like, this is nuts. And that's really what did it. So I guess that really kind of just boils down to that I like the album more than the other albums, but that every band's going to say that. So I can't really say that as my excuse, but that's truly what it is. I was just more selfishly excited about getting the songs out there.
When the album was first released, it lands on the charts, and you're sitting between Harry Styles and Carrie Underwood, which are pretty big names, and you don't necessarily expect. I mean, rock music has struggled sometimes to sell records, to find themselves in that echelon of those BTS, Harry Styles, Motionless in White. Could you have ever imagined that you'd be in the same position as some of those artists?
Not exactly, no. I certainly didn't expect at this point of how album sales go within heavier music comparatively to pop and hip hop and country. I just did not think that would be possible. I think we had a lot of fun with the whole, like, we were right on the tail of Carrie Underwood the whole time, the whole week of release. And it was a really fun thing to joke about with fans. And, you know, it was cool because it felt like, you know, it felt validating in a sense that, like, our band is still, doing what we're doing, and it feels great that we have all this support. It felt great for rock and metal in general, the fact that we could be alongside these bands. I mean, I know, you have Slipknot, you have all the big heavy hitters that are always up there, but I feel like we're, the generation underneath that are still following their footsteps. So when you see a band like us, keeping up with Korn and Slipknot, in our own lesser way, it's very like great to show that there's a great bright future for rock and metal on charts, on streaming, on all these formats that, people still look at as what the true telling of how well it's doing is.
What do you think it is about this collection of songs on the new album, as opposed to maybe some of the other albums, some of the other songs? What is it about this album in particular and these songs that seems to be connecting with fans on a level that maybe you haven't? I mean, you have a diehard fan base, and I understand that, but it seems like this album, it seems like these songs are connecting at a different level than previous albums.
My best guess to that is because we've all of our songs in the past have all been relatable to a pretty, decent degree, but this record being focused so much on what every single one of us went through, both internally and externally over the last 2 years, I think that's got to be it, because everyone can share that experience. Everyone now has a song that they can apply to either what has happened or what is currently happening. Like, it's very relatable. I hate that term in music, but it is like, it's very relatable to internal external experiences, and it might just feel kind of cool or relieving to listen to something, whether it's Slaughterhouse, where we're, being very aggressive about some very topical injustices, or whether it's Masterpiece that's talking about how a person can go through your internal emotional experience over the course of that time, and discovery. And I think that's my best answer.
One thing I noticed, and I'm sure a lot of other people noticed, it's interesting you mentioned Slaughterhouse and Masterpiece, because those are two very different songs, one very aggressive and the other is, I remember when I first heard it, when the label played it for me, I said, you could tell me that's a Breaking Benjamin song, and I would say, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the band has found yourselves writing songs that are possibly the most aggressive songs you've written, but then also writing songs that are obviously very mass appeal songs that are going to connect with a lot of people. What led you to, and why was it important for you guys to continue to open up the sound of Motionless, to continue to open it up to a wider audience?
Probably just like the desire to grow. And, we've always been a band that, regardless of how far we try and stretch into a new area, we will always have one foot in the door of where we came from. And that's maybe another reason why fans have stuck around as long as they have, where they like to see where we're going to go next, but they know that they can always rely on the band to give them what they attach to the most about the band in the past. So I think that that's the reason why you have songs on those two extremes. As far as going further on like the mass appeal scale, it's just writing. We really want to just write great rock songs in addition to all the heavy stuff. Masterpiece is a great format of a song to express those types of lyrics and that emotion. So it's just kind of where we wanted to go. Yeah. Werewolf is this track on the album called Werewolf. That's another very far out there song that we were just like, let's do something fun, and let's do something that has a serious message and serious lyrics, but it's packaged in a way that feels easy to listen to, fun. You have a great time on that track, and just gives fans something new that Motionless hasn't done before. So it's just a big package deal.
You talk a little bit about the themes on the album, the themes of the songs, and you've never really been someone to shy away from talking about difficult stuff, but it feels like this album in particular, there's some things you talk about that I think some bands would be fearful of addressing for fear of backlash from fans. Why does this album feel a little bit more personal this time around?
I think it had to be. I think with what's going on in the world over the last couple of years, we've been a band that we felt like we have included that stuff in our music before. So it's not like this foreign concept of, now we're going to speak out about this or that. So the fact that we have before has opened that gate. And with this time, there's so much that has gone on that it was just like, you have to, if you stand for X, Y, or Z, now is the time to express that and to let people know where you stand, to make your statement towards what you want to say. And it felt very organic. It didn't feel like, I have to write a song that talks about this because, we're being pushed into it. It was just like, nope, I feel this way. Here's this song, middle finger up, like, let's go.
When you start talking about subjects that some consider maybe touchy or something that maybe, like I said, some bands would shy away from, do you worry about alienating fans at all? I think your fans in particular are very accepting of any sort of different viewpoint. Maybe not any sort of different viewpoint, because there's ones that are not accepted. But do you ever worry about maybe alienating those fans when you start talking about things that maybe they disagree with?
To a degree, with things that are a little bit more, maybe the word would be gray area, but in terms of black and whites from, if you're a fan of our band and you're also racist or homophobic or any of that kind of stuff, we don't want you anyway. So I can't say that. We don't want you as a fan of our band. So I don't care. Or if you're just, on the side of things that are just hurting humanity, then as I said, there are some gray area things where, of course, if that's what your stance is, then there's a level of respect for the differences. But the further out you go from that and you hit that extreme, where you would be offended by what we say because your beliefs are very destructive to humankind, then, sorry, our band's not for you. Actually, I'm not sorry. Our band's not for you. See ya. Yeah.
How much has focusing on your mental health and going to therapy helped your songwriting process, if at all?
I think, that's always been a very, if not the most prevalent thread in our music, is things that to do with, mental or individual personal struggles. I think going through some very weird phases with that over the course of that time frame as well, offered a lot of lyrical content that it just felt, again, very natural to write about. So many things that I've tried to articulate that I was feeling, felt like I could have wrote 3 more albums based on it. Probably will, unfortunately, but that's just, I don't know if I would say unfortunately, but unfortunately that you would have, some negative stuff to write about constantly instead of more positive. But it's definitely a work in process in here. And I'm happy that fans are supportive of that type of song and connect to that the deepest. And while I wish that better for all of us and we didn't connect over that kind of stuff at the level that we do, it is great that you can, use music as that tool to connect with somebody and feel better, even in your pain and your hurt. It's just a great inclusion in your life that really helps in you getting, feeling stronger to be able to overcome things yourself.
When you write these songs and they're super personal and you have these connections with fans like you do, how wild is it when you see somebody tattoo lyrics on their bodies? I saw you respond to a tweet where a couple had one part of Cyberhex tattooed, the other one, the other. How wild is it to see fans, I mean, not just an album cover or whatever, to take your words, to take your lyrics and put them on their body forever?
That is, it's great because I've done that as a fan of bands too. So anything that happens that is reflective of when I do things that as a fan is really cool. Cause that's what music did for me. That's what our music is doing for other people. It feels so rewarding and so awesome. I will say that the only thing I don't like doing is I don't like writing the lyrics for fans to get tattooed on them. Because I have horrible handwriting and they never care. but I always say like, hey, do you know that I have terrible handwriting? They're like, yep, don't care. And like, I don't know, man. I've considered being like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't. I don't want to bear the guilt that comes with my horrible handwriting on people's skin, but I also don't want to say no because I know how much it means to them. So it's a really tough spot to be in that I'm trying to figure out how I want to go about it in the future.
You need to start taking like calligraphy classes and really get into the whole vibe.
Honestly, that I might have to, because if I can't fully just be like, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do this anymore. I just don't like how it feels. I might have to, because it seems to happen a lot. So yeah.
It's interesting you talk about being a fan, and you actually had the opportunity to have Mick Gordon on this album, being a fan of video games and the Doom series and the influence of that series and video games in general on the sound of Motionless. How cool is it to have Mick involved in the album?
It's amazing. It's always been a part of our band that's been not something I think about up front, but when you think about the history of the band, how many of my heroes and people I've looked up to have featured on some of our songs or I've gotten to work with in some way. It's actually, I just feel like the luckiest person, because Mick is the best composer of all that type of stuff ever, and he's a pioneer in that world. So the fact that he wanted to work with us and that we got a really rad song and stuff out of it that felt like, here we are, like this is the perfect mashup. It's very exciting, and what's cool is that I think we're going to work together hopefully a lot more on the next record, since we'll have more time to try and explore writing together in a different way. And there's a great opening of a door to the next record that's going to feel like hopefully even bigger and better than this one.
You have the influence of the video game stuff. Also, horror, obviously, a big influence on what you do. How awesome is it to sort of live out some of your horror dreams when you do these music videos? Thinking of, the video for Masterpiece has some horror elements to it. Thinking about the video for Thoughts and Prayers, where you're getting covered in blood, and it's sort of reminiscent of the scene in It Chapter 2, where the bathroom scene where she's, drowning in blood. How cool is it to get to, sort of live those scenes out in your music videos?
It's been another thread that I feel like has gone out through the band, that again, not every video, but many videos that we do have some form of touch on that kind of stuff that we have always had, that we're big fans of. We're very visual band, and that type of stuff is the most visually striking. So we use it where we can and try to use it appropriately and not overdo it. It's awesome. The Thoughts and Prayers video with the blood was so fun. We've been wanting to do that for so long. Masterpiece with like the burnt flesh stuff. A lot of people were just like, oh, it's Freddy. And it's so funny to me that a skin texture is claimed by a character, but of course, you think Freddy when you see that. But I don't know if I can envision Freddy Krueger as a blonde, slicked back look. It's awesome. It's just a great way for us to include that part of our being fans and stuff in our music and our videos. I've
read other interviews where you've talked about your love of the original Halloween. I am a crazy Friday the 13th fan, like every box set and all that stuff. My girlfriend buys me, like, she can't think of birthday gifts, so I have Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees stuff all over the house. I know you've also mentioned Lost Boys, and they just recently announced they're going to be rebooting the Lost Boys with one of the kids from It, and I think one of the kids from Shazam maybe are going to be in it. How do you feel as a horror fan? I know how I feel about the reboots, most of them, not all of them. Some of them are good. How do you feel knowing that they're going to reboot, one of your favorite films?
I think I have hope in the sense that, Stranger Things does such a great job at doing like the 80s throwback feel, but keeping it like new, modern, and exciting. So like, as long as they take that kind of approach, it's going to be sick. But with that being said, if they don't cast Billy from Stranger Things as one of the Lost Boys, then I will be very upset, because that dude he needs to look just like he did from Stranger Things, because he's just completely modeled after the Lost Boy. But I think that'd be really cool. So I don't know. I always give it a shot. I think there's been some really cool, like I like the new It series, and there are definitely remakes that are doing it right. So I think if they stick to that new, truly care about the lore and the throwback vibes, then it'll be cool.
With I'm sure you've been following the whole Stranger Things bump, the fact that they could potentially give Metallica their first #1 song with Master of Puppets, which is 37 years old or 35 years old at this point, whatever it is. Go through the Motionless catalog. What's one song, season 5 Stranger Things, that you think would fit into the Stranger Things world that Motionless could get the Stranger Things bump, and we could see all of a sudden this video blowing up on YouTube like Kate Bush, like Metallica? Is there one song that you think would be perfect for a Stranger Things appearance?
I think that's actually on our newest record. It's a song called Werewolf. Very 80s vibe, very like Michael Jackson throwback feel. I think if they maybe had like another Halloween episode, that would be the one. So Stranger Things, Duffer Brothers, what's up?
How awesome would that be? Imagine getting that email from management that, hey, the Duffers want to use Werewolf.
Yeah, man, that's like, I mean, that was a dream since I saw season 1, is to have a song in Stranger Things. Never mind now seeing what it's done for Kate Bush and Metallica. It's crazy. But I don't even care. I wouldn't care if it's like you're hearing it through like the distant speakers of Walkman headphones or whatever. It's just the fact that it would be a part of an episode would be like, holy, it would blow our minds. So we're all mega fans of the show, so it'd be amazing.
You guys just announced the second leg of the Trinity of Terror Tour a couple of weeks ago, which means the first leg had to have been a huge success. What's it like sharing the stage with 2 other bands that you guys share so much in common with, but are still vastly different?
I feel like it's just like one of those like, duh kind of moments. Like, I mean, that's really when you see the lineup, you're just like, oh yeah, okay. Like you know that's
why haven't we done this before?
Mashup. Yeah. To me, it's cool because I used to go to shows before. I feel like there was a lot of politics behind the scenes with touring. I feel like I used to go to shows that were like all the bands that were the coolest bands at that time all did tour together, and it was like these super tours that were super stacked with your favorite bands. And I don't think that you see that as much anymore. It's a very competitive world out there, and I think it's cool that all 3 of us were able to look beyond any of that dumb stuff and just be like, no, like we're gonna go ahead and do what the fans want, because they've spoken that they want to see us on tour. We're 3 bands that respect what the fans want, and we also are excited internally about the idea of that tour and what it means for our style of music. It's just duh.
How cool is it to have 3 bands? You mentioned style of music. How cool is it for these 3 bands to kind of be experiencing similar success at the same time, when sometimes heavy music sort of gets pushed off to the side, and now you have Motionless streaming like crazy, Ice Nine Kills opening up Metallica shows, and Black Veil selling out tours? How awesome is it for all of you guys to sort of experience this success, even though you've all been at it for 10 plus years?
I think the fact that we have been at it for as long as we have adds to that. It's just like, I think it's a representation of like, we're the next wave, like we were the next wave at some point. Now, we're the vets. We're not the vets comparatively to like, Slipknot, Korn, etc. But like, we're not a young new up and coming group of bands, and we're out there making statements with where we're at, what we're doing as a group, and where the style of music is at. Like, to see all three bands doing so well right now is a statement just to heavy music in general, that like it's alive, it's thriving. These shows are doing 5,000 people. Every band it's so powerful, and it's about the message and the statement that it sends to the world. And it's also about the connection that it gives with fans to all come together and be part of this super tour that feels so cool, and you could meet people from all over the world at these shows that are just there to have a great time and enjoy what they love, and that's what we want to be a part of.
When you have a triple header tour like this, do you feel any pressure to go out every night and one up the other guy? Are you competitive at all in that way?
I don't think it's that. It's more like you just feel competitive, not competitive. You feel like there's a little bit deeper of an expectation from the fans, because when you're going to a show like that, I think you're expecting to see an insane show. So that's where I feel the pressure. It's not like I'm just like, oh, we have to be better than the other guys. That's not at all. It's more, we have to be better, meet or be better than what the expectation of the fans are or have. And I just feel like sometimes I don't know exactly what that is. So it's tough to feel like we're hitting that. But I don't know. We've always just gone up there and done our thing. We're going to make some adjustments as we go on to try to continue to make the show as cool as it could be and have fans feel like they got their money's worth.
Every band, I think, has that one venue that they want to get to a point where they get to play it on this upcoming leg. You get to play Montage Mountain out in your home state of Pennsylvania, out in your hometown. How exciting is it for you to finally be at that point where you're going to be playing that stage?
Yeah, man, to have gone there, like I've been going to that venue since I was a kid. My very first concert ever saw No Doubt at that venue. So to finally be able to go up there and headline it is just, it's the dream. I mean, at that point I've hit the number one bucket list venue that I've ever wanted to play and headline, and there it is. So it's a weird feeling, because then you're just like, okay, well, there's other ones to check off the list, but when you hit the number one, you're just like, it's a weird feeling because you don't know where you go from there. But it's exciting. I'm so thrilled to be able to do it, have my family there, and just celebrate a really cool milestone in our career.
Once you have played Montage Mountain, what's like the next? Is it like a venue in Philly? Is it a venue in Pittsburgh? Is it a Madison Square Garden? Like, what's after Montage? What's the next?
I'm a little more realistic than Madison Square Garden. Yeah. We'll see. No, maybe we'll do another super tour, and we'll open the Korn, Slipknot, Breaking Benjamin super tour, and we'll play Madison Square Garden. Yeah. I think for me, Hard Rock Orlando, Hard Rock Live in Orlando is my next after that. We've done the Electric Factory in Philly, which was a big one for me. We've done a few others that were way up there. So I think, yeah, Hard Rock Live Orlando would be the next.
I'm looking forward to the second leg of the tour. It's playing the Michigan Lottery Amphitheater here in Michigan in Sterling Heights in September. I know those tickets are on sale right now. And, working in radio, I have to listen to a lot of music, and I spend a lot of time listening to albums. And it's not very often that an album comes out that I will listen to from front to back over and over and over. And your new album has been one of those, along with the new album from Dead Sarah and Mammoth WVH. I love the new album. It's fantastic from front to back, man. Congratulations on all the success. I know you guys have been at this for a very long time. It's cool to see you guys get this sort of recognition on this album that I think is well deserved.
Thank you. It's been a long journey, and to see that it's been this many years at it and still, welcomed back every time we put a record out we can't really express our gratitude the way we wish we could. But we really are thankful and so grateful that we get to do this for as long as we have and still grow at it. So yeah, we're very excited to see all the Michigan fans. We played in Michigan on a tour with Alice Cooper, and we got rained out. The rain was so gnarly that they had to cancel our set. We sold more merch on that show than any show on the whole tour. Michigan fans are insane. So yeah, very excited about that. It's going to be a good show.
It is going to be a good show. You can get your tickets for it right now, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys. I assume you'll be on the road for the foreseeable future. So even once the Trinity of Terror wraps up the second leg, you guys will just keep going.
Yes. It's going to be a fun year. That's all I'm going to say. Some cool stuff coming. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome. Chris, man, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for taking some time, and I will make sure to tell Duffy that you'll see him in September.
Awesome. Thank you very much. See ya.
Thanks, man. See ya.